Presidential race with a leading Republican in the Congress. In the last hour, we were joined by Congressman Duncan Hunter. He's a very strong Donald Trump supporter. Right now, Congressman Adam Kinzinger is here in the Situation Room. The Illinois Republican is a veteran of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He has not endorsed Donald Trump. Congressman, thanks very much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks.
We spoke just not that long ago, and you told me last month, you said, you don't see how you could support Donald Trump, in part because you said, I don't know what he stands for in foreign policy. Has he done anything since then to reassure you that would enable you to support him?
No, not yet. I mean, you know, the one thing I wish he was inconsistent on is the area of Russia, and unfortunately he's been consistent, and that is an admiration for a very brutal leader. Keep in mind, somebody that has been, you know, they believe has killed journalists, that puts down political opposition, that invades neighbors, that occupies neighboring territory, that holds up the Iranian regime and the Syrian regime to kill 500,000 people. And they themselves, the Russians, bomb medical facilities and innocent civilians, whether it's in Aleppo or elsewhere in Syria. I don't have any, in fact, I don't think Putin is reacting out of strength. I think Putin reacts and does what he does out of weakness. And so any admiration for this guy is extremely disappointing.
You served the commander-in-chief in both the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Here's the question. Who, in your opinion, would make a better commander-in-chief? Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton?
It's always a tough one to answer. I mean, you know, look, I haven't seen much from Donald Trump that says that, you know, he would be somebody that would be a great commander-in-chief, especially, again, when we talk about Syria, we talk about ISIS, we talk about Russia. You know, at the same token, I have the same response for Hillary Clinton. I mean, I agreed with going into Libya. I think it needed to happen, but the idea of leading from behind and the lack of follow-up that occurred after that was also disappointing. I think this exchange of ideas between the two is good. It brings foreign policy to the forefront, the nuances of it, not just the one-liners. And this is something that hopefully over the next couple months through the debates and everything else, they can really explore these issues, and the American people can see what they're made of, including me.
It seems that there seems to be a disconnect between Trump and his top military advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, the former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. I spoke with him here in the Situation Room yesterday. I want to play these two clips. The exchange I had with General Flynn, followed by what Trump said at that forum last night. Do you have confidence in the current leadership in the U.S. military? Would Donald Trump accept them, or would he want new generals, new admirals?
No, I think we have all the confidence in the world in the military leaders that we have. I mean, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, these are you know, lifelong servants, courageous people who have given it all. And I think that what they need to be able to do is they need to be able to unleash our military capabilities, as well as other capabilities that we have inside of our government system, particularly in the intelligence community, and some other capabilities that we have to be able to really go after and defeat this enemy, get this thing over with, instead of continuing on with this perpetual war that we're involved in.
But you're going to convene a panel of generals, and you've already said you know more about ISIS than those generals.
Well, there'd probably be different generals, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm looking at the generals. Today, you probably saw, I have a piece of paper here, I could show it, 88 generals and admirals endorsed me today.
Those are all retired admirals and generals. So when he says he would have a whole bunch of new generals, that doesn't express a lot of confidence in the current batch of generals.
It doesn't. And this is, you know, again, the unfortunate. Yeah, Donald Trump had a good teleprompter speech before this, but then when he's off the cuff, you know, to say you're going to basically fire all the generals. I mean, you know, a new commander-in-chief has every right to assess his general corps and make some changes, and I would expect that no matter who's president. But to say they've been reduced to rubble and you're going to fire them all, I think does a disservice to the men and women that do serve with stars on their shoulders.
And when he said not that long ago, he knows more about ISIS than the generals do, how did they react? You in the military, you're still in the reserves, but you're still in the military.
Well, we laugh about it. I mean, it's obviously not true. He doesn't know more about ISIS than the military. You know, the military's been studying this issue for a long time. Many of these generals and high-ranking officers and people that have been in the military for a while have been engaging the predecessor of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Iraq, and will be engaging whatever follows ISIS when they're destroyed. So, no, I don't think he knows more than the generals.
You're a Republican. Let me ask you about the Hillary Clinton statements. She doubled down this morning saying she would never, ever allow U.S. combat ground troops into Iraq or Syria. She said that very clearly. Maybe some special forces, drone strikes, air strikes, if you will, working with the Kurds, working with other Arabs, but no more U.S. combat troops on the ground in Iraq and Syria. Was that smart of her to say that?
No, I don't think so. I think Hillary at that forum was trying to probably acquiesce a little bit to her base that doesn't want to have anything to do with Iraq, and she probably did that in an emotion and in the moment because kind of felt the heat. But no, especially when it comes to foreign policy, never say what you'll never do because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you could have any number of scenarios run in Iraq in which ground troops being there is in the U.S. interest to defend not just Iraq but people here at home. So never say that, because when you do have to pull back on that promise, it's going to be embarrassing for you and the country. We
have more to discuss, including what Donald Trump is saying about the 2 intelligence briefings he has received so far, much more, with Congressman Adam Kinzinger. We'll take a quick break. We're back with Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. We're following the breaking news in the presidential race as Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton trade new attacks just hours after they both took part in a forum on national security. One of the interesting things that Trump said is that he's now received 2 classified intelligence briefings from the U.S. experts. He claimed that based on the body language he witnessed there, they don't believe that the President of the United States is doing the right thing. Not anything they said, but just the body language. You buy that?
No. I mean, you know, look, I do think the intelligence community is very fed up with President Obama. I think the military community is too, because of what is perceived as and what is a lack of leadership in the world, you know, new fronts popping up everywhere. But I don't think a candidate for president, first off, should ever even discuss the security briefings. There's real sanctity in that, and it puts concerns in terms of what will ever be revealed. And the other thing is, you know, unless he's a body language expert, I don't think that's appropriate to say.
Speaking of the military, you're still in the military, just did a couple of weeks in the reserves. A tweet that came up that Trump tweeted back in 2013 on sexual assault in the military. There it is. 26,000 unreported sexual assaults in the military, only 238 convictions. What did these geniuses expect when they put men and women together? There are 200,000 women serving in the military right now. When you see that, when he said, what did these geniuses expect, that seems to suggest he doesn't think it was a good idea to let men and women serve together.
That's what it seems to suggest. The first half of the tweet I agree with. I mean, it's sad that, you know, there's less convictions than obviously the vast number. But then to say, you know, what do you think when you put men and women together? I serve with a lot of great women in the military that are just as competent as men to destroy the enemy and defend this country. And so I don't know what he was thinking in 2013 when he put it out, and I frankly think he ought to apologize for it.
Because he said last night, he said the tweet was correct. He used the word correct. He didn't have a problem with what he tweeted then. But on your personal experience serving together with women, what have you seen?
Oh, I mean, these women are heroes. I mean, you know, with the technology we have in the military, and you know, it really takes as much as anything brains to go out and defeat the enemy. I fight with some very heroic women, and these are women. Keep in mind, in my profession as a reservist, as a pilot, you know, maybe 10 to 15% of pilots are female, so they're obviously in a male environment and handle.
But have you seen sexual assaults, sexual harassment of these women?
No, I haven't seen it. No, But they do very well in the military, and you know, in my realm as a pilot, they're just as competent as any man, and I'd fly with any of them any day.
Adam Kinzinger, the congressman. Thank you.
You bet.